We all know the Vikings have the top wide receiver duo in the NFL, but desperately need a wide receiver 3, even more so now after the Jordan Addison news.
These are the top 3 free agents the Vikings need to consider.
Number 3.
Hunter Renfrow is coming off 2 pretty disappointing seasons, but just 3 years ago earned his first Pro Bowl nod, putting up 1,038 yards and 9 touchdowns. He did miss 7 games with injury in 2022, and he was really never able to find his footing in the Josh McDaniels offense. Plus, the arrival of Devontae Adams and Jacoby Myers kept pushing him farther and farther down that depth chart. But we do still feel that the 28-year-old has enough talent to be a prototypical wide receiver 3 in this offense.
Number 2.
Injuries have led to 4 lost seasons for Michael Thomas, but if he can remain healthy, he could bring something to the receiver room the Vikings don't have: a big-bodied possession receiver. During his prime, Thomas was best known as a slant guy, dominating the middle of the field. Though he may not be the same guy who broke the receptions record with 149 catches while putting up an insane 1,700 yards in 2019, he showed us he still has something left in the tank with 450 yards in 7 starts a year ago. Yes, we know he was a stupid Saint, but we still think he could excel as a third option.
Number 1.
Corey Davis is returning to the NFL for a 1-year retirement. Still at only 29 years old, Davis has shown a level of consistency throughout his career, though never living up to that top 5 pick status. In his last year in Tennessee, Davis put up 984 yards and still put up 2 solid seasons as a Jet with Zach Wilson as his quarterback. The 6'3", 210-pound receiver brings something to this Vikings team we don't have with his size, and he has downfield ability, averaging 14 yards per reception throughout his career. We think he would make a huge impact at wide receiver 3 in this offense. So going into training camp, we all felt pretty confident about our top 2 wide receivers. But of course, it wouldn't be an offseason with a little bit of drama. Jordan Addison, obviously, things are still kind of ongoing with the investigation. We don't know exactly what the substance was yet, but he was under the influence of something. Allegedly fell asleep behind the wheel in Los Angeles. So you do got to think some sort of punishment is coming down. Hopefully it's a fine. I do think, though, to really grill it into his head, it might need to be a suspension, 1 or 2 games. So when you talk about wide receiver 3, you really might actually be looking at a wide receiver 2 for a couple games. Mm-hmm. And then when you do look at that wide receiver 3 spots, obviously the favorites right now in-house are Brandon Powell and Jalen Nailor. But at this point, Powell has not been consistent throughout his years in the league up until now. And Nailor just hasn't been able to stay healthy. And he's showing flashes in OTAs and training camp, but just when it comes time for him to step up on the field when it matters, he's unavailable.
Dude, 100%. And like you mentioned, the Jordan Addison situation, disappointing. You know, it's tough to see that kid twice. You know, as his rookie year, he had the thing with the speeding, and then now again the DUI. Hopefully this is something he can learn from. That's why I expect some sort of in-house suspension or however that ends up being handled. But that's a great point. With him gone, like I already I like Brandon Powell a lot. I like Jalen Nailor. Like you mentioned, Jalen Nailor's always injured, and even though, you know, throughout training camps and stuff, it sounds like he's looking good and all those kinds of things. But with Brandon Powell, I'm not even convinced that he's going to be able to come in here and be a wide receiver 3 for us, let alone, you know, due to suspension for Jordan Addison, or whether Jordan Addison or Justin Jefferson go down with injury. Justin Jefferson went down with one last year. Whatever happens, do I really think that Brandon Powell is going to be able to step up and play a wide receiver 2 role, or anybody that we have in-house right now? Will they be able to step up for a wide receiver 2? I'm just not convinced by that. And that's why I do think the Vikings just need to go a different direction. I think they need to go grab a guy that has done and has been productive before, because that's one thing that's kind of annoying to me in the past is we always want to get these guys in-house and bring them up to a wide receiver 3, kind of like what we did with KJ Osborne. But instead, like every single time, it's always like, let's make a wide receiver 4 guy a wide receiver 3, instead of going to find a guy who might have been a wide receiver 2 before, or even a wide receiver 1 before, like Michael Thomas, and bring him down to like a wide receiver 3, instead of just, you know, I don't know. I feel like you're taking more of a gamble trying to fit people into wide receiver 3s.
Yep, absolutely. But what are your guys' thoughts? Do we need a wide receiver 3? And if so, who would you like? Do we miss any names? Drop all that down in the comment section. Hit like, hit subscribe. We'll see you guys next time right here on the GG Sports Podcast.
Skol Vikes.